Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. Hi, I'm Rita, rocker, speaker, author, trainer with SoaringHigher.rocks, and I'm very happy to continue on a program of mine called Sinking, Swimming, or Floating, Surviving the Tidal Waves of Life. And it's in my new book and also a chapter in an anthology. And so what I've been talking about is, first of all, I was talking about when we've sunk, and we don't know how to even breathe, get out of maybe the deep mess that we could be in, or the deep heartache, or the financial issues. And then floating, when we're starting to let go of things that sabotage us, that keep us down, whether it's people, places, or things. And then, being able to swim in the fast lane and really move forward to our heart's desires. So again, a quote that I spoke on last time was, no one can look backwards and make a brand new start. However, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending, create a brand new ending. And so that is very important to do that and to let go of, like I said, people, places, things, experiences that are past. They're over, they're done with, they're past. And to move forward and to move on. And whether the person's 8 or 80 or 90 years old or whatever the case may be, we all can pursue our passion at any age. And always remember, no matter how old you are, that you have so much to give to other people, a life of experiences to share with people your own age, but also people of another age. I think it's wonderful when the young people and the older people can get together. They can share their ideas, their heart, their, everything that they know. A lot of times the younger ones, they can share their technology. The older ones can share all these life experiences and things that they've learned that are so extremely valuable to keep the world running, to keep going forward. And so think about that and be really open and willing to work with everybody of every age. It's fascinating, it's fun to do that, and we learn so much. So it doesn't matter what age you are, you have a lot to offer, a lot to give in the personal realm as well as in the professional realm, and all the gifts that you have as a human being that are so important as well in your education. So a lot of times we've been hurt, and tidal waves of life knock us down, but give yourself the gift of healing too. There may be a time when it's like, here I sit, I should be active doing this or that. And it's like, but your heart needs to be healed, or your mind needs to be healed of something first. And as you heal, you can rise above that sinking and get back into swimming in the lane. But sometimes you have to take a little bit of a break, and sometimes that's not so fun. But so we can clear our mind, heal our hearts, and move forward. So there's examples here of individuals who could have sunk or barely floated in life, but they decided to soar out of the water, to get going, to swim in the fast lane. So instead, they chose not to allow age or adversity to keep them down. That is so important. So where did they go? They, as I put it, to the podium of life, where they accepted their gold medals for a job well done in spite of it all. Okay? So one of them is an 80-year-old woman who finished college and received her bachelor's degree. A degree was her lifelong dream, and she determined that it was never too late to achieve what you want in life. No one could tell her any different, 80 years old. Now, obviously, she didn't look like the rest of the students in there, but God bless her. That was her desire. And so she went ahead and got her bachelor's degree at 80. There was a 65-year-old woman who learned to fly a plane and got her pilot's license, okay? 65, there was no way to keep that spunky grandma from flying high. I love that. And I'm sure she's been a riot and a very good pilot, because she's old enough to know she has to be really careful too and just watch everything around her. And so anyway, this story is a little bit longer. I love this. I've seen some of the programs about Bob Whelan on TV. Well, Bob Whelan lost both of his legs clear up to his hips when he was in Vietnam trying to save one of his buddies. Okay, So he was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital and actually zipped up in a body bag. But he came back to life. God wasn't through with him yet, obviously, and he's still alive. He decided, instead of living painfully defeated experience, which that certainly would be, he would build up the rest of his body and be an example to young people that you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. So he worked out really hard, and he entered a world bench press competition, weightlifting competition, and he won. He won the bench press competition, even though he didn't have any legs, but the committee took the title away from him. Why would they do that? He won because he was not wearing regulation clothing, which included shoes. The man had no legs, and he won fair and square. Well, how many people at that age, first of all, you lose your legs in a senseless war, and then you win a title that you fairly won after you worked and worked and worked so hard to achieve that, and then it was taken away from you? How many people at that would just go, well, I'm just going to sit here and watch you. I'm not doing anything the rest of my life. Why should I? I mean, look what happened to me. And so what did he do, though? At that point, he didn't give up, but he decided, what can I do? What can I do to help young people realize that no matter what disabilities or things that have happened to them, they can still achieve their dream. They can still live. I'm watching lots of things right now on veterans who have suffered and lost maybe all 4 of their limbs or whatever. And it's heartbreaking, but they're not letting it keep them down and just keep them sitting in a room watching TV. So he trained his body even harder, and he had this apparatus that was tough enough to handle cement built for the trunk of his body, and then he had these big, like, horse hoof things for his hands, so that he could literally, and what he did was he walked across America on his hands. I saw him, he put his knuckles down, his hands down with this thing, and then he'd swing his hip forward, and put the arms down again and swing the hip forward. 2 years he did that. Smelling exhaust fumes from trucks and vehicles. He went along the highways, but it was to raise money, not for himself, but to help those in need, help those that maybe were debilitated, and also say, hey, you can do anything you set your mind to. I was so proud of him, and I remember hearing him on TV one time saying that a neighbor looked over the fence and he saw that Bob was like mowing the yard. And he says, how can you do that? You don't have any legs. And he said, well, you better tell that to my wife because she's going to be really upset with me if I don't get the lawn mowed. Yeah, he was put on something. He was put up there so he could manly work it. I saw a while back a young man who had no arms or legs, just kind of a couple little fins. And someone had put him into the water, a pool, because he was competing in swimming competition. I mean, really? But was he going to let the fact that he didn't really have real arms and legs keep him from a goal of his and a life, a real life to celebrate? No, he wasn't going to do that. And so think about those things. And, if Bob did that, it's like, okay, we can accomplish what we want to do too. So think about that, bad weather, constantly breathing exhaust fumes, all the things he did, but he stuck with it because nothing was going to keep him from doing his goal of showing other people they could accomplish their dreams too. So push forward. We always want to push forward. So we all have a story to tell. So get pen and begin writing out the story of your life with the ending that you want. So you go up to where you are right now in your book of thoughts that you're writing. It's like, no, you don't see it, but you write the ending that you want. Okay? You don't even have to think, well, how the heck am I going to do that? I don't have the money to go back to college. I don't know. Write the ending that you want, because that's what you're going to visualize and go forward with. Pain is no longer your companion. Okay? Pain comes back a lot. It comes back in my life too a lot. But the new chapter will not really go on. I mean, you think about the past, but you don't stay there. You create the new one. And so my chiropractor told me once that a woman that he was working with seemed to not be able to let her pain go. And he believed that she was experiencing all the physical pain because of her emotions, because emotionally she was all gripped up and tight, and he was really having a hard time getting her adjusted enough. I have a friend who went through some really many horrible things in her life, and she was going to a physical therapist for a really long time. And this physical therapist was just, you know, it was like her body was so locked up from all she had been through. And it took her a long time, plus being able to sit down, write letters to her deceased mother at that point, then, and her deceased husband, and writing letters, sitting across from an empty chair and reading them. Why did you do this? Why didn't you let me do that? Until she got all that anger out. And the more she got healed inside from expressing and letting out, letting go of everything that was inside of her. And I mean, it was horrible. It really was, from the time she was 2. But anyway, then the physical therapist started noticing that she was loosening up. She could move better. She didn't have all that tightness, and you know, all of her muscles being all knotted up like that. So, and I know from personal experience that's true, that stress can actually lock your body up in a way that's very painful. You got to let go of it. But when you start letting go of what's in here and what's in here, your body follows, and it can loosen up, and you can move forward then as well. So think about that. And he said that he did not think I was the type of person to want to hold on to my pain in general. And my response was, I do not want to hold on to the pain. Now, have I? Yep, I have sometimes. I've had a couple chiropractors and a couple, like a massage therapist and a physical therapist, tell me that the knotting up inside my shoulder blade on the right side was most likely muscle memory from abuse that always tries to raise its head, but it's like, get out of here, you know, nope, go away. I don't need you anymore. I don't need you at all. And so a lot of times we have to do that. We just have to confront it and say, out, no more. So you may feel again, too, like an ugly caterpillar that's all bound up in its case. Well, all the time there's a beautiful butterfly inside crying to get out. And if you stop and think about it, a lot of times you may have feelings that are crying to get out, you know, but know that there's that beautiful butterfly in all of you. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but it is in there. And so you work to let it out, let it escape, let it be released from there. And so the process of metamorphosis, again, is very laborious. I've talked about it before, where the caterpillar, the chrysalis, goes into a state where it's just, you know, inside this skin, furry skin, and it's all black goo. It's just all black goo, literally. But inside the lining are the feelers, the eyes, the wings. They're just waiting to work through that healing process in a sense to get out. And so as it works through this process of, you know, we think a lot of times, well, I'm just a bunch of goo. I don't say anything. But no, everything is inside of you, just like everything's inside of that chrysalis. And so as it goes through this process that I'm sure is not very comfortable, you know, the wings start growing, the eyes come out, the feelers, everything, and it comes out to be a beautiful butterfly. Sure as heck didn't start out that way. And so you want to think about that what is inside you is the same. You're equipped with everything that you need. You are. You're equipped with everything you need to have that same overcoming, that new life. Swimming strong, the weights are gone. You know, throughout our lives, we have different experiences, positive and negative. When we maintain a strangling grip, sometimes it does feel like a strangling grip, on a negative or unpleasant experience, we're constantly thinking about it. We could be thinking about something that happened to us when we were 2 years old, 5 years old, something like that, and maybe we're 60, you know. And so we constantly think about it. What we're doing is we prevent ourselves from clearing out the wound and healing. It's kind of like if you had a wound, and we've all seen a scab over a wound, it's healing, and that's protective, and it's healing. But that scab, like, ooh, that scab is really ugly. I don't like that. So we start picking at it and pulling it, and we pull off the scab because it's ugly. Well, okay, then what do? We reopen the wound. Okay, now it may scar because it's been opened up, opening up that scab. And so then what happens? We do that with ourselves. We open up those wounds, we think about them, and then, by golly, here they are again. And now I have to go back to a point in the back again to start healing up to this point. So never let that happen. Think about that scab and leave it alone and move forward and let it heal, okay? So if we hang on to it, again, we'll never move up and we'll always be in that stagnant water. We don't want to be there. Because like I've always said, we attract what we think about. So the more you carry the load, the heavier it gets and the deeper underwater you go. Why? Because you've filled your mind with heavy, negative experiences that will not allow you to rise. And we don't do that anymore, okay? We want to reward only the positive and no more useless baggage. Because a lot of times people even say, yeah, you know, I got married, but then he or she carried all the baggage from their previous relationship that was very negative, painful, whatever, and ruined the new one. So again, we don't let that negative baggage, throw it out. Harder said than done, but yes, you can do that. So, and think about when you go to the grocery store, you see all kinds of items, and who puts them into the basket? You do, okay? So sometimes I stopped to think about this, and I thought, yeah, that's right. We are the ones that put everything in the grocery store into our basket, unless you have little kids who are throwing things in there, but for this, we are doing it. And so they don't jump in on their own, okay? Those groceries and those, a lot of things that we shouldn't be eating, don't jump in there. We put them in there, just like we put in our mind what is going on and what we want, what we can have, what we deserve, etc. So, you know, there's many items that are healthy. They're good for strengthening you and your family in food and in behaviors and thoughts and the things that we're doing. Others may be unhealthy emotional crutches of mind-numbing junk food or mind-numbing movies or habits. Okay, so think about that. Who's doing that? Who's putting them in our basket? We are, or we're letting them happen. So just reading labels can help steer us away from loads of unhealthy food and drink. Putting clear labels on our habits and relationships can also steer that grocery cart of life down the aisles that nourish you and give you strength, okay, and endurance to rise out of the sand pit. So again, think about that. What you're putting in, what you're feeding yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. Do not allow negative and unhealthy items to weigh you down any longer. As the weights come off, then you feel free, finally. So hanging on to negative past experiences can destroy life. Yes, so some of the questions again, and I've talked about questions before, but things that really get our mind moving in the right direction so we see why something has happened or why something isn't happening would be holding on to, you know, again, experience. Does this serve any worthwhile purpose for me? Does this thing I'm doing or allowing someone close to me to do sometimes serve any worthwhile purpose for me? Boy, can you get some answers out of that? Is it worthwhile? Is it a good purpose for me? All right. Or for my family. Am I doing things right now where I'm so busy with life, the rest of my life, that I'm totally ignoring my family or my partner or something like that? I'm letting the house go. So really, is it serving any worthwhile purpose for me or my family or for my career? Think about that. Is it really serving a worthwhile purpose, or is it just serving something temporary that I want right now? Okay, so think about that. What's the purpose of it? Is it good or not so good? Help me move forward with my goals? Hold me back in an unhappy comfort zone? Yes, as I mentioned before, comfort zones a lot of times aren't good, but they're familiar. So we stay in them because we're afraid to launch out and jump out of where we are. But is this behavior I'm doing, this action, this thought, is it helping me to move forward with my goals or keeping me stuck? I've had so much that has kept me stuck. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment. No, no. Don't let anything like that hold you back anymore. Work in my favor in any way. Why or why not? Why isn't this working in my favor? Well, it's because maybe I'm getting snippy and barking at people, or because I'm not taking care of myself anymore, or you know, what is the case? Sometimes it's, why isn't this working in my favor? Or why is it working in my favor? Because I'm giving to others, I'm sensitive. If somebody's upset, I try to find out why. I try to communicate with them. I try to listen to them. I'm trying to, you know, keep up on work at home. I'm just trying to do some kind things, spend some time with the kids. So is it in my favor or not? Is it in their favor or not? If you just start asking yourself those few questions, it'll be amazing what you can discover and ways to change things, to tip things in another direction where you can go forward then. Okay, so how you answered these questions will tell a lot about what you need to do to get in the fast lane where you can swim towards your goals, because those obstacles are no longer in there because you've dealt with them. And so the emotions and thoughts do not help you focus and move forward. Then you know where they need to go. What step can you focus on next to improve your life? Sit down. I'm thinking, okay, even this afternoon, what are some steps I can do that are positive that I haven't taken that I should have? And that's some working on my latest book and some other things. So yeah, it's like actually making those steps. Don't let the day just kind of run through, but positive steps. What am I going to do the rest of the day? What am I going to do tomorrow to get where I want to go? Begin the process with small steps to keep your mind moving forward. And yeah, things are going to come in the way and it's going to jam things up in your head. Work on them, clear them out, move forward. So maybe as simple as turning down a date with somebody who's not good for you, or maybe checking your local college or online courses to do maybe 2 classes. And a lot of them you don't even have to pay for. 1 class, yes, maybe in the industry that you are working in or want to be in, so you build up your knowledge. And then 1 for fun, 1 that hits the creative side of your mind. And so always do that too. It's not work, work, work all the time. You have to put some fun in there, some entertainment, some good things too. Okay, so you don't want to just ignore that. And it could be, okay, what are some of the little things I can do? Again, it's like drink water instead of soda for the rest of the night. I'm going to do 10 minutes of exercise while I'm watching TV so I can get motivated and moving and start firming up and feeling better about myself. I'm going to grab an apple instead of, a bag of chips. I'm going to watch some good programs on YouTube, which that's about the only thing I ever watch anymore, to be able to learn a lot about relationships, learn about health and things that you can do for yourself, learn about different ways to work with kids if that's an area. I don't have any kids around, but that might be some programs there, learn some creative new things to have fun. And so there's work, but there's also fun, and you need to incorporate that in as well in your life. So unpack any of the bags, again, that might be holding you down. And when something jumps back in, baggage, it will, you kick it back out. It doesn't get to stay in there and have the time with you. Maybe just a few things, like you might go and get a new hairstyle and ask somebody to, go someplace where they can give you a whole new hairstyle. I mean, I used to teach modeling classes, and I'm amazed at just makeovers. I do makeovers too, and it's so fun. You can see someone totally transform their hair, their makeup, what they're wearing, the colors they're wearing, how they're standing, how they're carrying themselves, little things. But they add up to this person is, confident, they're classy, they've got their act together. And it may be just little things that have happened. So think about that too. And what are some of the things that you can do to move forward? And, again, little things. Some people say, yes, we got this absolutely gorgeous house now when we didn't have, anything and we were living in this dumpy little apartment. What was one of the things we did? Well, we drove around all those expensive neighborhoods and we just kept visualizing that. So there's a lot of things you can do in that respect. Go to the mall. Maybe you don't have any money for new clothes, but start looking at everything and try on things that you would look good in and make you feel good too. And pretty soon those things will start manifesting in your life. Honestly, they really will. Sounds kind of crazy, but I've heard so many testimonies of people doing that. Again, it's those vision boards, which I've done a little bit of it, and I thought, well, this sounds kind of silly. But when you see all these people with all these testimonies, and they've all come true, and they just keep doing it because that's where their mind is set. I have a friend who's a really strong Christian friend, and she kept visualizing the vehicle she wanted and needed. It wasn't a real expensive one, but by golly, it showed up. So these are just a few little thoughts, and I will continue this next week, and I wish you all the best, and God bless.